Alright, so look, check it. Shout out to y'all who liked the last video. Appreciate that. I love how my most popular video is me just venting about my favorite team. But somebody in the comments, and shout out to him or her or whoever you are, they said that, yo, I love the videos, entertaining but insightful, but you should try to make these videos a bit shorter because it's the internet, short attention spans. Yeah, I'm gonna be real with you, player. It ain't this one. Look, I try to make these videos shorter. I keep that in mind, but I just, I write and then it just pours out of me. All right. So I'm going to try to make the next video decently length, but this ain't it. Y'all know what y'all signed up for. So the dust is settled on All-Star Weekend after a pretty mediocre game, which is like the same thing we said for last year's All-Star game and maybe the year before that as well. Many of the same arguments came up after this game, like, lack of effort, lack of defense, overall lack of care. It's weird for me because although I had fun with this weekend, I overall liked it. I remember going into this weekend on some, I just don't care like that, which is weird because up until halfway through college, I always looked forward to All-Star Weekend, especially because the next day after All-Star Weekend was a holiday. It was family day. So I could just, chill at the crib and enjoy my day after just watching basketball all weekend. You get excited about the game and seeing all these talented players sharing one basketball court. For some fans, you don't get to see the top stars all the time just based off time of their, based off the time of their games and where they at. So, for some, this is the first time they're seeing like Paulo Banchero or maybe even, I don't know, Trae Young all year. Don't get it twisted either. It's not just the game. My second favorite event is not the dunk contest or the three-point contest. It's the Rising Stars game. Seeing these guys play on with all-star coverage, and it introduces these young players to broader audiences. Obviously, I love the three-point contest and the dunk contest. We try to recreate them in the gym and in video games. We can instantly think fondly of, Levine Gordon's dunk contest or Jason Richardson's performance in the dunk contest. And obviously Vince Carter or the Curry three-point, challenges he's done, or Devin Booker's first round in 2020 or Buddy Hield's chain performance. For me, the thing with All-Star Weekend is that even if in the years we don't care for the event as a whole, we can still find things we liked that, we can remember with good times. Like this year, I said I was happy for the guys who made the All-Star team, but overall, I don't care about the weekend because last year's was not all that outside of a good three-point contest and Mac McClung's performance. And I was indifferent to the concluding events of the weekend. I still had some things I enjoyed though. I'm probably like the 1% of NBA fans that will say it, but I like the celebrity game. It's a novelty event, just, having fun, goofing off, and I like the addition of the other athletes and getting like all those gimmicks they do for the event. In my opinion, other than the three-point contest, the Rising Star game with that new format of a tournament setting, like a 7-on-7 tournament, it's fire. It's fun highlights, but also competitiveness. It just kind of like inspires competitiveness. Obviously, the three-point contest is consistently a gem. The stars come out for it, and when someone gets hot, it is exciting to see. And the most fun event was the Steph versus Sabrina three-point contest, with Sabrina keeping in mind she's not in season form right now. Ran off a score that would have got her in the finals of the actual contest, and Steph reminding us why it's not fair for him to do the three-point contest. Like, Steph looked at the competition of the men and said, you know what, I could probably handle like Dame and Trae Young. Sabrina though? But Kenny Smith, who had to have been drinking, kind of made a point that All-Star Weekend is defined by its main events, the dunk contest and the All-Star game. We can remember banger performances from the Skills Challenge or the Rising Star, be overall satisfied with the three-point contest, and it's usually a close race. Hell, you might even laugh at some of the stuff from the celebrity game. But what we truly go back to is the dunk contest and the All-Star game. We talk about the stars from the 80s and 90s who did the contest. We talk about Vince Carter 2000. That gave that man a Hall of Fame aura on its own. Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon are the benchmark we look at for all other dunk contests. The NBA markets the best athletes in sports, and seeing them combine athletic feats with creativity and fluidity while also being powerful is the best selling point of the dunk contest. The dunk contest is what we try in the playground or our bedrooms when we see a good one. The All-Star Game is the literal main event. It's by itself on Sunday night. You see the most popular stars in the NBA. For some players, it's a reward for a good half of the season. For some, it might be one of the few times you're on national TV. The unofficial tagline of the All-Star Game is the greatest game of pickup basketball. Just all that talent on the floor, fantasy matchups, like quick time events that happens should make it fun for fans. However, both of the NBA's most popular All-Star Weekend events have been lackluster at best and offensively bad at worst. For the past 2 to 3 years now, you hear every scenario on how to fix these events. These players are soft, insert event needs to be canceled. The dunk contest has been up and down of momentum for years now, dating back to the 90s. One of the things that made the 2000 dunk contest so special that it was canceled in 1999 and 1998 because of poor performances from the contest of the 90s. The 1999 one was canceled because of, I think, the lockout. The 98 one was canceled because they were just tired of that. This year's dunk contest wasn't even bad. I think it was average. The right guy in Mac McClung won, but I don't think his dunks really wowed me like, he did last year. Although his first dunk was truly wild. I'll be real, Jaime Jaquez's dunks were good, but the bonus for me is that I didn't think he could do any of them, so it's a win. Jacob Toppin had the best dunk period with his 360 reverse East Bay. Filthy. It should have been McClung versus Toppin in the final because I believe he had something for Mac. Now Jalen, okay. His dunks were mid, okay? For the most part, they were. But I said it best to a friend that I was live texting the dunk contest with. Jalen's dunks are good in-game dunks, and he's good at dunking, but he isn't a dunker. You can tell, like, his first dunk is a common windmill. But if he was going to do the Dominique Wilkins dunk, he could have, put on Neek's jersey and, screw it, bring out the Reebok pumps. Like, miss the first dunk intentionally, then pump up the shoes, pump up the crowd, and then do it again. That would have been fire. And yes, you could have had Kai Cenat stand. But what followed was somehow even worse, as once again, I didn't think the All-Star Game was bad, but it had all the same problems turbocharged that people have been criticizing for years. High scoring, no defense, lack of effort, and it was just like I said, turbocharged this year, because if you didn't watch the game, seeing a score of 211, 186 is ludicrous. Damian Lillard launched 23 threes. Some of those just didn't make sense. Like, okay, I'll be rude with you. Once this man's pulling up from half court or a half court adjacent, what defense is going to cover enough ground to cover that if Dame decides to do that in an All-Star game? But most of his threes were, if not all of them, were wide open. No effort to go contest. If a player got beat heading to the basket, which was common because it seemed like one move was just enough, nobody rotated to even try to make a play on the ball. Basically, anything that looked like a breakdown would result in 2 to 3 points. This was NBA 2K on rookie mode. So we have two of the biggest marquee events during what is a great opportunity for the NBA to showcase these impressive feats and showcase its most popular stars. I said this in the NBA on Christmas video, and I'll say it here because it's the same concept, just different timing. The NBA gets All-Star Weekend to itself in a period where sports viewing is high, and it is the last big event before the next big event in sports. A good three-point contest and a good rising star game is great and appreciated, and an entertaining celebrity game and intriguing skills contest is like finding extra dollars in your jacket pocket. But it is true that a good dunk contest and a good All-Star game makes or breaks a weekend. It can even make an average weekend better than it is. The dunk contest has been getting the same criticism for decades now. Fans want the stars of the league to compete in this event. They want some creativity in the dunks and consistent judging, which fans are right to point out. Many stars tend to opt out of the dunk contest and tease fans with their impending debuts in the showcase. Even popular names who aren't stars tend to dismiss or act cool about the topic. Also, fans are right that the overall dunks that get displayed are not as good as the dunks from even 5 to 10 years ago. We might get a Derrick Jones Jr. versus Aaron Gordon dunk-off, or Mac McClung's performance from last year, Dennis Smith Jr.'s performances in 2018 and 19, but these make the problems clear. There's really no consistency with the quality of dunk contest contestants, and the players often seem like they're only taking a few hours before the contest to actually practice the dunks. They're relying on gimmicks and spectacle more than ever before. Take Aaron Gordon's drone dunk or John Collins' plane dunk while dressed as an old-timey pilot. On the other hand, I think fans in the NBA have been misguided with how they view the dunk contest. Most of the stars have already done the contest. If you look through history, most of the stars do it earlier in their careers, which makes sense. Like almost all of them, whether you go super in the past like Michael Jordan, Wilkins, Larry Nance, Julius Erving, or go a little more into the future like Kobe Bryant, VC, T-Mac, Dwight Howard, or even modern stars like Paul George, DeMar DeRozan, Levine, Blake Griffin, Lillard, even Giannis has done the dunk contest. The problem with getting more stars in the contest is that a lot of the new NBA stars are not proficient dunkers and are more all-around skilled players that aren't looking at dunks as something to spend their time on. If you see stars competing on All-Star Saturday, it's going to be for the three-point contest. Most of the stars coming in today are working to make themselves great three-point shooters. Also, the guys who can throw down something mean, Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards, maybe Zion, those guys have either not been healthy around All-Star time, not been available around All-Star time, or they just don't feel the need to compete and no real reason to as well. Unlike the three-point contest that has concise rules that you can even implement some strategy into it, and whatever you get is solely based on your performance, the dunk contest is honestly just like vibes half the time. Like no matter how much three-point shooting we see, seeing someone lock in and just make shot after shot is cool, but the dunk contest needs spectacular all the time. The job is harder because we've been oversaturated by dunks. We're in a dunkflation. I can go on YouTube or Instagram and see some crazy logic-defying dunks, whether it's from professional dunkers, other players not in the NBA, high schoolers, or college kids. Most of the craziest stuff we've seen countless times, and like I said, NBA players are not putting up dunk contest-worthy dunks in their free time. They're working on their all-around game, and players, and to be honest, fans, don't see great dunking as an important skill. But trust me, all this hides the real problem, which is the judges and the format changes. The three-point contest has a simple format that, for the most part, other than the addition of the money ball rack and the Starry Night shot, has not changed. The dunk contest has had a few different rule changes. In the late 2000s, fans voted on the final round of dunks. In 2012, it was completely fan voted via Twitter. In 2002, it was a tournament-based system. Then in the early 2000s, it was the best dunk in the first round contributed to the total score. And then the infamous 2014 team-based dunk contest. I don't mind tinkering the format to get the best results, and some of these could have just stuck around, but they have messed with it a lot to the point of confusion for many. Also, the judges are woefully inconsistent at best and downright suspect at worst. First, penalizing. I get it. Nobody wants to see someone take like 15 attempts to complete a dunk, especially if the dunk wasn't all that clean in the first place. But the dunk is something that, is truly spectacular and different, and it takes, 2 or 3 attempts to do it. That's okay with me. But you probably aren't going to see it get a 50 for a dunk that took even 2 attempts. Max reversed over somebody while letting go of the ball, and Toppin's East Bay, I told you about earlier, didn't get 50s, and I think it's because they needed 2 attempts. The judging has no consistency, and you can't fully know what each judge is feeling. Like Aaron Gordon's dunk over Taco Fall in 2020 was the biggest robbery of the dunk contest, and I still can't explain why it didn't get a 50. The judges could favor stars, which is honestly the only explanation I got for Jaylen Brown making the finals. So even if a player can put on a good performance, there's a chance that it can be messed over by the judges. The format doesn't reward all the dunks you do, get points deducted for trying new dunks, which is the whole point of the contest, on top of the fact that a poor or lackluster performance can get you clowned on social media and made a meme for years to come, to a fan base that has increasingly become more picky than ever before, will give anyone an incentive to stay home. I listened to a lot of the player interviews throughout the weekend and Adam Silver's media scrum before All-Star Saturday night, and it tells a tale of two identities. Silver said that he and the NBA's Player Association have been trying to make tweaks to the game and are listening to the players. One of the answers Silver gave was that although the players understand that they're encouraged to play this game with some level of seriousness, they understand that it's not a real game with the long intros and longer time before tip-off, long halftime, just more opportunities to get cold and then have to work into rhythm, especially a game with uneven minutes due to the amount of talent. That was one of the motivations to go back to the East versus West format, which I'll admit, I love the drafting that the NBA was doing for a few years now, but I will also have a traditional love for the East versus West. However, Anthony Edwards pretty much said, yo, I'm looking at this as a vacation. It's an all-star break. So he's looking to have fun and not take things as seriously as he should, as many of the players here think the same way. And yeah, Draymond calling him out for that aside, he's right. Like I said about the dunk contest, social media scrutiny for a poor performance or simply going harder than everyone else while everyone is chilling or getting injured will make a player look crazy. So they ain't even going to give social media more fuel to gas their fire. Why risk more embarrassment? NBA fans may think that that doesn't matter, but in an era that is not only promoting the game but the brand of the league and its players, a player, especially an all-star's public brand, is highly important. And yeah, you can't name too many players that got hurt in the All-Star game. You can name more that got hurt in off-season workouts. However, it has happened. We know Kobe broke his nose in 2013, or Kemba playing all minutes in the fourth quarter in 2020 and then not playing the next 5 games after All-Star weekend. The one that we forget is that Brad Miller made the 04 All-Star game, but missed the fourth quarter due to a sprained ankle. He then missed the next 7 games due to injury. Now imagine a player getting hurt on what is supposed to be a vacation and then has to miss extended time if the team is competing for playoff spots or seeding, especially with the addition of the play-in tournament. That would be a pain, along with the relentless scrutiny from fans on social media for going harder in an All-Star game than the playoffs. And speaking of fans, for the talk of players not loving the game or being lazy, NBA fans, especially newer fans, have been less receptive of anything that isn't playoffs or the finals. If a player has a good performance in the regular season, or have a cool moment pre-game or post-game, or they're having a good month, or show emotion and passion, the first comments you see are fans mocking them for their team not making the playoffs, not historically being a good team, or not accomplishing anything, or bros treating this like it's the finals. NBA fans want competitive basketball, but it seems like they only want it in April, May, and June. If a player has a great all-star performance, does that count to his legacy? Do we talk about it? NBA players understand and listen to what is being said, so they only want to do things that optimize winning. On top of the fact that the NBA had a good thing going with the Elam ending instead of a timed fourth quarter, and they stopped doing that. The NBA's 65 game rule gives even less incentive to compete because now players' accolades and money can be on the line in a game that is more spread out and physically demanding than ever before. Players basically work every day. We see 82 days of their job, but it's really an around-the-clock job. And from September training camp till All-Star break, it's working every day. So players will take advantage of this 1 week they have off before they gotta lock in for a stretch that includes the playoffs. Even fans have had disdain as to who gets chosen to be All-Stars, as most of them are offensive first players. And I think that should mostly be the default, but think of it, what happens when a defensive star like Gobert or Draymond or Lowry, we look at them as imposters if they make the game. I'm a Raptors fan. I had to fight like I was down in the 9th round to justify Lowry being an All-Star, because we know an All-Star game is supposed to be entertainment first, and defensive stances and defensive positioning and take fouls often take away from the offense, as many of them aren't good offensive threats. But Adam Silver and the fans are also right. Yes, not many fans, and I'll speak for some, don't need the players going hard like they bet on these games they damn self. I don't need Anthony Davis to defend every dunk attempt like he got incentives in his contract. Fans aren't asking for 100% effort every play. NBA stars can do 60% effort. I don't need elaborate defensive stats and players to go to the free throw line every play, but they can bare minimum, try more, shift into some level of position. Like I explained to a friend, they don't have, they should treat the All-Star game like an Olympic team that they know they can handle, or a pickup game with the homies. There's a big difference between diving for a loose ball to the third row and providing no help defense. For this video, I went back to watch the 2000 All-Star game and the 2004 All-Star game, and yeah, the games were sloppy with turnovers and silly shots. The games have always been about pace and getting shots up, and they even talked about how there was no defense in the old game. However, for certain, the players were trying. They found the game important, and yeah, they weren't giving 100% effort, but they were making efforts to get back on defense, not allow easy looks. The games were still high scoring because of just the level of talent, but there was just a level of effort that made the games never go to being boring. Fans sometimes have blind nostalgia after time passes. We tend to forget the criticisms of the things we grew up on. But they're not wrong when they say the older All-Star games were more entertaining, and NBA players shouldn't need another cash incentive aside from the already millions upon millions of dollars they already get to make that, to show some effort and competitive spirit in something that they should treat for the fans and themselves. The NBA cut time out of the theatrics to inspire the players to stay warm, which is what they were asking for, and it didn't work. The scoring was going to increase. NBA players are better scorers from all three levels and can do it more efficiently. There was like 3 or 4 legit good three-point shooters in the 2004 All-Star teams. There's 18 great three-point shooters in the 2024 games. So to be real, the 200-point mark was going to be broken eventually. Even casual defense was easier back in the day because you would have 3 or 4 non-floor spaces, so everyone was simply closer. Getting a contest on someone shooting at 10 inches away from the three-point line is much more demanding than contesting a mid-range fadeaway. But it goes back to effort. Simple closeouts, box outs, nothing overly easy. Yeah, it is a vacation, but if you're named to the game, it's a privilege. A privilege to showcase your talents on a stage that every NBA fan is watching and has easy access to watch as well. And many players just don't care about that privilege anymore. So what can be done about it? This video is long, so one day I'll make another video just talking about the dunk contest changes I would make in the All-Star game, and honestly the overall weekend, because I have some ideas. But to make this last part as brief as I can make it, I think you can make changes to the dunk contest that encourage the players to do it and encourage fans to be engaged with it. I also would make the dunk contest second to last and the three-point contest last. I would have the score be cumulative so every dunk matters, and fans should vote each round on the best dunk, something like that. Just some systemic changes to make it more entertaining. The All-Star game, however, there's no saving that. There's just no saving it, at least on the NBA's part. I could suggest changes like fans and players decide who participates, but coaches decide who's starting. Maybe having like some live scrimmage so players get more familiar with their one-time teammates. If making it feel like a real game is a request, like these can be more fleshed out ideas, and I will flesh them out in the future. But to be honest, this one's up to the players. If the players aren't going to care, even if it's for valid reasons, then the All-Star game isn't going to be good. No extra incentive is going to inspire effort if they see the game as ultimately meaningless. I hate the concept of these players are soft nowadays because I don't believe that to be true, and NBA players today take offense to that. But when it comes to the All-Star game, they're letting the old heads win with these players are soft take, and that surely should bother them, right? Okay, thanks for watching this video. This video is long. Like I said, I did not expect it to be this long, but it just, I've felt one of the reasons why these videos get so long is because I try to add as much context as possible, so you can't twist my word or make it seem like I was saying something I didn't really mean. If I say it on the mic, I try to back it up as much as possible. So that's kind of why these videos get as long as they do. But honestly, the fact that y'all stick around and watch these videos means a lot to me. We're up on 80 subscribers. We're 81 subscribers at the time of me recording this, and we might have more by the time this video comes out. And we are 19 subscribers away from 100. That means a lot to me. So I thank every single one of y'all, and I'm gonna keep working. Yusef's gonna continue working. We're gonna continue working. I'm proud of this channel and I'm proud of the progress, but I'm coming for more. Like, this channel is going to be an impact, And I can't wait, and I really hope that you are along for the ride too. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.